Hey, everybody, welcome back to Jackson Facts. So, as I'm sure you've noticed, we've been going deep on the different aspects of these new smart grid technologies like 5G and smart meters, but I wanted to give you a clear, concise, short little video that gives you an overview of the facts surrounding these 5G installations. The Environmental Health Trust here has a clear and concise fact sheet, so I'm going to run through it, make a nice short little video for you guys to share with your friends and family members in your community to create awareness surrounding the 5G technology. Now, all the things we're going to talk about here include links to the peer-reviewed resources and the data accumulated by scientists and doctors around the world. So feel free to check this out yourself. You can dig a little deeper on your own, or you can check out our other videos here on the channel, but let's dive right in here. This is what you need to know about 5G wireless and small cells. Now, that's what they're calling these 5G towers. They're calling them small cell towers. This is a quote from a 2017 5G scientific appeal signed by more than 200 scientists and doctors from 35 countries. The quote says, "We recommend a moratorium on the rollout of the fifth generation 5G for telecommunication until potential hazards for human health and the environment have been fully investigated by scientists independent from industry." Goes on to say RF and EMF has been proven to be harmful for humans and the environment. So yeah, even though scientists are calling for more investigation, there is still abundant data that proves these technologies are harmful to us, the animals, and the planet. Nationwide, communities are being told by wireless companies that it is necessary to build small cell wireless facilities in neighborhoods on streetlight and utility poles in order to offer 5G, a new technology that will connect the Internet of Things. At the local, state, and federal level, new legislation and new zoning aim to streamline the installation of these 5G small cell antennas in public rights of way. So you should know the radiation from small cells is not actually small at all. Wireless antennas emit microwaves, non-ionizing radio frequency radiation, and essentially function as cell towers. Each installation can have over 1,000 antennas that are transmitting simultaneously. Millions of small cells are to be built in our front yards right outside our houses. The Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, estimates that millions of these wireless transmitters will be built in our rights of way right outside our homes. 5G will add to, not replace, our current wireless technology. That's right, we're just stacking unsustainable, damaging technology on top of another unsustainable, damaging technology. Instead of reconstructing our already unsustainable infrastructure, we're just piling on more inadequate systems. 5G will not only utilize current 3G and 4G wireless frequencies already in use, but also add higher frequency, sub-millimeter and millimeter waves in order to transmit data at super fast speeds. Community authority is being overruled in this process. Communities are being stripped of their right to make decisions about this new technology. Streamlining means almost automatic approval. The FCC does not have to wait for communities to approve of this stuff. Public notice and public hearings are being completely eliminated. Even if every homeowner on the block opposes the antennas on their street, the opposition will be completely disregarded. Scientists worldwide are calling for a halt to the 5G rollout. Over 200 scientists and doctors issued a declaration calling for a moratorium on the increase of 5G cell antennas, citing human health effects and impacts to wildlife. And again, as you can see, the links are right here if you have any doubts of the overwhelming data. Cumulative daily radiation exposure poses serious public health risks. Peer-reviewed, published science indicates that exposure to wireless radiation can increase cancer risk, alter brain development, and damage sperm. Most people are unaware that wireless technology was never tested for long-term safety, that children are more vulnerable, and that the accumulated scientific evidence does indeed show harm. Now, even though the industry has never tested these devices for long-term safety, we do have independent research and peer-reviewed data going back decades that shows the long-term effects of being exposed to this wireless technology, and it is indeed harmful. There's also going to be a decrease in your property values. Studies show that property values drop up to 20% on homes near cell towers. Would you buy a home with a mini cell tower in your front yard? Probably not. Probably not. Microwave antennas in front yards present several worker and public safety issues. Unions have already filed comments that workers were injured, unaware that they were working near transmitting antennas. How will HVAC workers, window washers, and tree cutters be protected. The heavy, large equipment cabinets mounted on poles along our sidewalks also present new hazards. Cars run into utility poles often. What then? And when these devices are hooked up to lithium batteries and they overheat really easily and they're hooked up to propane tanks to keep them powered, these accidents that are going to happen are going to be far more explosive and threatening to the infrastructure as a whole. And this goes on to say fiber is the safe alternative. Worldwide, many regions are investing in wired fiber optic connections, which are indeed safer. They're faster, more reliable. They provide greater capacity and are more cyber secure. That's right, there are ways to build upon our infrastructure, to expand it, that isn't as invasive in our environment, but instead those in power are going with the technology that they know is destructive. So here's some of the key research and reports. 5G frequencies are absorbed into the skin. Physicists found that the higher millimeter frequencies intended for 5G use are preferentially absorbed into the sweat duct at much higher rates than other organ tissues. 5G frequencies are used as weapons. Millimeter frequencies have the capacity to cause severe burning sensation in the skin and are used by the U.S. Department of Defense in crowd control guns called active denial systems. Yeah, when you see those weapons in action, that's some scary stuff, knowing that's going to be on every street corner. Landmark U.S. National Toxicology Program, NTP, had a study that found clear evidence of cancer and DNA damage. The NTP studies found male rats exposed for 2 years to cell phone radiation developed significantly increased gliomas, a brain cancer, and Schwann cell tumors, the very same types of tumors increased in long-term human cell phone users. The NIH NTP presentation on DNA has results that state exposure to RFR has the potential to induce measurable DNA damage under certain exposure conditions. We also have cell tower radiation being linked to damage in human blood. A published study compared people living close and far from cell antennas and found people living closer to cellular antennas had changes in blood that predicts cancer development. Yeah, remember those firefighters we talked about in California who proved that they had damage to their DNA and their brain cells and their blood, and so they were able to be given an exemption. They were allowed to have their 5G cell towers removed from the fire departments. If the firefighters can get off and be exempt from these horrible cell towers, then why can't we, the people? And these firefighters are some of our healthiest people, our strongest humans in the community, and they're suffering adverse health effects. So if they're suffering, then we, the people, should most definitely be exempt from this technology. Published scientific review on 5G finds adverse effects. Scientific literature documents evidence of non-thermal cellular damage from wireless radiation used in telecommunications to DNA integrity, cellular membranes, gene expression, protein synthesis, neuronal function, the blood-brain barrier, melatonin production, sperm damage, and immune dysfunction. That's a lot of stuff. That's just about everything that regulates your health and balance in your biological makeup. It's all being trashed completely when you are exposed to these 5G towers. And finally, cellular radiation negatively impacts birds and bees. Published research finds the frequencies alter bird navigation and disturb honeybee colonies. So if you know that we have data showing birds and bees are being affected by this technology, then you can assume that all wildlife, all the plants, everything in this environment is going to be negatively impacted. Here's some extra notes for you. 5G small cell antennas are to be placed on streetlights, trash cans, utility poles, bus stops, and the sides of buildings. 5 reasons that small cells are not small. They have increased radiation near your home. They have refrigerator-sized equipment cabinets, okay? They have a drop in your property values. The poles are much taller, and the fixtures themselves weigh hundreds of pounds. We also have an annual report from Crown Castle saying, if radio frequency emissions from wireless handsets or equipment on our wireless infrastructure are demonstrated to cause negative health effects, potential future claims could adversely affect our operations costs or revenues. We currently do not maintain any significant insurance with respect to these matters. That's right, a lot of insurance companies are coming out saying, we refuse to provide coverage for these 5G towers because we know they are harmful, and the industry refuses to do the proper research to prove that they're not harmful. That's likely because they can't. They simply can't prove with peer-reviewed, non-biased science that they aren't harmful. So yeah, insurance companies are saying, no way, we're not giving you coverage for this. And coming in from the American Academy of Pediatrics, they're telling us a study in Egypt confirmed concerns that living near mobile phone base stations increase the risk for developing headaches, memory problems, dizziness, depression, and sleep problems. We also have a letter from oncologist Leonard Hartle and his colleagues. There is a substantial body of evidence that this technology is harmful to humans and the environment. The 5G millimeter wave is known to heat the eyes, skin, and testes. Of particular concern are the most vulnerable among us, the unborn, children, the infirm, the elderly, and the disabled. It is also expected that populations of bees and birds will drastically decline. Yes, guys, so many people, doctors, reputable health and safety research institutions are all telling us the same thing. Peer-reviewed research studies on radiofrequency radiation have found these towers cause headache, sperm damage, altered brain development, depression, neurological symptoms, hormone changes, memory problems, sleep problems, and cancer. Okay, so that's that. You can click all of the sources here if you need more information. You're not convinced of the truth. Well, the truth is available to you if you're willing to perceive it. How can you take action, though? What can we do? You got to contact your local, state, and federal elected officials in person. Give them calls. Show up to your town hall meetings. Send them emails. Write them letters. Let them know that we need to start taking legal action and sue the FCC to have these 5G towers halted and removed if they're already installed. You can also share this information with your friends, your family, and your community. Spread the word. That's what creates true change, is people at the grassroots talking to other people. Face-to-face, one-on-one communication with other people just like us. We all have so much in common. We're just seeking to provide for ourselves and our loved ones, keep a roof over our head, keep the power on, get some healthy food on the table. We, the people, 99 to 90% of us here at the grassroots have way more in common than not. If we all just band together in the name of truth, justice, personal health, and safety, under the banner of freedom of choice, to be able to choose what is being imposed upon us, well then, we stand a much better chance of actually fighting the system and fighting those in power. So what we need to do is ask our government for policies that reduce exposure of these harmful emissions until we can whittle it down to zero exposure to harmful emissions. We need to make sure we are as assertive as possible in eliminating whatever harmful technologies are being forcefully imposed upon us. All right, guys, that's that. Again, check out ehtrust.org, Environmental Health Trust, great database of resources. Watch that documentary, Take Back Your Power. It's got nothing but factual information, and we'll start creating the change we want to see in the world. Okay, guys, we'll see you in the next video, and remember, the truth is just a click away.